So in this video, I'm going to talk about proof of cosine data and sine of data. And cosine data and sine data, in the usual coordinate, we write coordinate as x-axis and y-axis. But in the trigonometric function, we define x versus y into cosine data in the y value, in x value, and sine data in the y value. And I'm going to prove about it. And if there is a point right over here in the first quadrant of the unit circle, and unit circle is the circle which has one, which is one in this radius. And if we make a straight line with this point and the coordinate which has 0.0, 0, and we call this angle theta. We call this angle theta. And we can make a right triangle in order to prove cosine data and sine of data. If you draw here, you will gonna, and let me put this, let me put this at this angle right over here as A, and let me put this this length as this point B, and this point C right over here, and I will call it R, which is a initial value of radius, and I will call this X, and I will label this as Y. But I think to make it a little bit bigger, call this length X, and I will call this length Y. And we can find it that if we call this angle B, we can find that angle B is equal to cosine of data and sine of data. And I'll write it down. The coordinate is cosine of data and sine of data. And the reason is because we can prove it by cosine and sine. And as I told you guys, we define if there is a right triangle, and according to this angle A, we draw C, which is the initial value of cosine, like this. So it will the value of cosine data will gonna be equal to X over R. So X over R, but R will cancel out with the 1 because the radius is just going to be 1. So, and for sine we'll write as, which is the initial value, like that. So we're gonna be R, in the numerator, Y over R. Sine data is just going to be equal to Y over R, same thing as we did in the cosine, and the R will be cancelled out with the value of 1. And if we simplify this expression right over here, it will gonna be cosine of data, we're gonna be equal to X, and the sine of data is going to be Y. And so with this expression, we can replace X and Y value as cosine data, and in the Y value, sine of data. And this was the proof of the cosine and sine data in the trigonometric function, using this unit circle and the right triangle. and we're done.